I'd like to call the board meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. As we get started, I would just like to read a statement. Our law enforcement officers have always helped protect our schools and community. There's been a significant loss that has had a devastating effect on many of our officers and families. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the people that have been grieving at this time. As a sign of support, the North Syracuse Central School District, along with all other districts in Central New York, are asking people to wear blue tomorrow as a reminder for all the individuals who keep us safe each and every day. I want to thank them all for their dedication and commitment. Given that our board president and vice president were not able to attend tonight, I ask that a motion be made to have another board member preside over the meeting tonight.
I make a motion that we have Mark Thorne as our leader of the meeting tonight.
Is there a second? Xavier? All in favor? So moved. Mark Thorne, you will now preside over the meeting.
Thank you, Superintendent Bowles. Start tonight with a moment of silence for Lorraine Simone, a retiree of the North Syracuse Central School District. And I would like to also include the 2 police officers who lost their lives in the line of duty recently. Thank you. All right, we'll start tonight with a proclamation. Throughout history, teachers, school nurses, teaching assistants, speech therapists, and transportation personnel have had an impact on the district's students and community. They work for the well-being, welfare, and future of our children. This awesome responsibility is accepted with commitment, dedication, and even love. Because of the complexity and diversity of their role, they must be flexible, resourceful, positive, and patient. Teachers, school nurses, teaching assistants, speech therapists, and transportation personnel of the North Syracuse Central School District are professionals of the highest caliber who have dedicated themselves to the ideals of their profession. Students, parents, administrators, and community members recognize, applaud, and appreciate their efforts to ensure students receive a quality education. To honor the teachers, school nurses, teaching assistants, speech therapists, and transportation personnel of the North Syracuse Central School District and their accomplishments and efforts on behalf of our community's most valuable resource, our children, I, Mark Thorne, member of the Board of Education of the North Syracuse Central School District, on behalf of the board, express our deepest gratitude and hereby declare May 7th, 2024 Teacher Appreciation Day, May 8th of 2024 School Nurse Appreciation Day, May 9th of 2024 Transportation Personnel Appreciation Day, May 10th, 2024 Speech Therapist Appreciation Day, and May 14th, 2024 Teaching Assistant Appreciation Day, to be celebrated with appropriate educational activities.
Mr. Krilla and Ms. Bristol, Mrs. Bristol, please come forward. Hi.
Lydia Golden is our youth.
What we're going to do when we call you forward, if you can just tell people your name and what building that you teach in.
My name is Lydia Roldan, and I'm an English as a new language teacher at CNS, and I've been in this district for 7 years now.
we line up, we're going to ask that you tell people your name and where you work.
My name is Sally Jo Delpha. I am a school nurse at Cicero Elementary, and I've been there 22 years.
Hi, Barb Polinsky. I'm at Smith Road Elementary and I've been there for 21 years.
Hi, Jacqueline Anderson, and I'm at Smith Road Elementary, and this is my first year in the district.
Hi, I'm Amanda Kelly. I work at the junior high right here, and I've been here for 2.5 years.
I'm Jody Barnes and I work at the North Syracuse Junior High and I've been in the district 21 years.
And now we have Mindy Bristol, who has people here from her unit. And if you could come forward, we would love for you to say where you work and your name.
I'm Renee Merritt. I'm a teaching assistant at Cicero Elementary.
Tay Dodd, teaching assistant at Main Street. Years,
Okay.
10 years, subbed a lot longer than that.
And I'm 23.
Thank you, and really, I want to say we appreciate you and for all that you do for our students each and every day. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you so much.
Okay, moving on, we have a presentation from the Math League. We have to call forward Nick Scholes.
So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to recognize some more students who have just outstanding math accomplishments over the last couple months. In fact, March, I decided to call Math Month, even though it's not actually Math Month. April is Math Month, but in our district, math was March month because we did a lot of really great stuff. And I wanted to recognize 5 students tonight who participated in our middle school math league. And this middle school math league has been going on for a really long time in Onondaga County. However, this is the first time in probably over a decade that North Syracuse has been a part of the middle school math league. And when I reached out to some teachers in the buildings, we had 3 very eager teachers, Kelly Moen up at the junior high, Janice Christopher at Gillette Road, and Kathy Schell at Roxborough Road Middle School. And before I recognize our students, there were 22 schools. We actually hosted it, our very first time doing it in a while, and decided to host it. Out of the 22 schools, we placed all 3 of our schools in the top 10, 3rd place, 5th place, and 8th place, which is really cool. Yeah, so pretty exciting. So I want to start in 3rd place. We had 2 students take 3rd place in 6th grade. This is also the first time that the Onondaga County Middle School Math League allowed 6th graders. And our 6th graders competed. In fact, our 7th grade or our 5th place team was made up almost completely of 6th graders. And we swept the 6th grade competition. We had all 4 of our students place in the top 3, 3rd being the top 2 students tied for 3rd. So I want to recognize first Caden. Hold on, Caden. I want to make sure I get your name right. Caden Gaff and Owen Boyles. You guys can stay up here. And Caden is from Roxborough Road Middle School, and Owen is from Gillette Road Middle School. I also want to recognize Owen Murphy in second place in sixth grade. And in first place in sixth grade, I want to recognize Louis McLaughlin. And then this student kind of led the third place team from the junior high. They actually compete all year long, and so their scores go to allowing them to be in the top five. Each team has about 20 students on it, but only the top 5 compete. And this student actually took second place in 8th grade, which is really the highest group of students in all of Onondaga County. So I want to recognize from the junior high, Solomon Stearns. Congratulations, guys.
Our next presentation is from Don. Mr. Keegan, the floor is yours.
Good evening. So we meet again. We were here last Wednesday and we had a special meeting to talk about the budget. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot new to report, except I am going to present a balanced budget tonight. So let me just make sure again, same agenda as last time. Talk a little bit about considerations impacting the budget. We'll talk about the formally proposed revenues that we're hoping the board will approve tonight in the budget, the tax cap calculation, proposed expenses, vehicle bonding, fund balance and reserves, and requests of the taxpayers for us to use our capital reserve and debt service fund and Salina Free Library, and then we'll wrap up with the budget process timeline, vote and election information, and our budget presentation schedule. So we've covered these again. I almost feel like everybody in the room here has heard these before, but I want to just emphasize that top point. I think this might be my 13th budget with the district, and I don't remember proposing a budget where we don't have a final state budget yet. So we're a little nervous about that, but we understand within the next day or so we'll be getting our final budget information.
Just hearing that may be extended another week.
Another week, okay. I'm up. Well, thank you for that, I guess. In any event, though, these are important considerations, though, because they really impact the process. So let me just walk through them really quick. I think, we hear a lot about declining enrollment, and certainly North Syracuse has had declining enrollment like many upstate school districts, although we believe, we know our enrollment has not declined precipitously like many other districts. However, the degree of difficulty for our teachers and our schools has definitely increased. We've had an increase in the number of special needs students or new students with special needs and the severity of their needs. And we pride ourselves on directing those resources properly and making sure that those students are supported properly. But certainly has been a challenging situation despite declining enrollment. Our students have academic gaps resulting from the pandemic, and social emotional issues continue to impact student behavior. Again, another challenge that we had to consider as we put the budget together to make sure we have the right resources in place to support our students and families. As I've said 100 times, we do not have any more federal stimulus money. That ends with this school year. And we have numerous labor contracts that we're negotiating. And as a result, our budget reflects estimated salaries and wages based on the outcome of those negotiations. And we are operating in an inflationary environment. And it's important to note that we live under a tax cap. So we can only consider inflation up to 2%, even though we've had significantly more than that. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. Labor market's really tight. And I think one of the central themes of our budget this year was to take advantage of attrition when we can, but not to lay anybody off. And I think that that's a really important concept. We feel really strongly that retaining our staff in a tight labor market is going to ultimately benefit our students and families as we'll be able to continue to offer high quality instructional programming. We did, however, as I mentioned with attrition, we did eliminate 12.5 positions resulting from retirements, and 6 of our staff members are going to end up being reassigned. So again, we value our new hires. We've invested heavily in them, and we've worked hard to maintain their employment at the district. I'm not going to go through the strategic plan information, but I think I'm comfortable saying that the strategic plan was a guiding document in the planning process, and we believe that any reductions that we've made do not impair our ability to execute the strategic plan. Revenue assumptions, I've already mentioned that we don't have a final state budget. So probably the biggest takeaway here is that we're assuming that the district will get its full foundation aid, and that we've got our fingers crossed here that comes through. But that's a major assumption in the plan. Really not much to report on the other revenue items. But there is an important, we've spent so much time talking about Micron, but I just want to make sure people know there's no pilot agreement with Micron in place that will impact the school district's budget this year. So that's important to know. We're not getting any additional revenues at this stage of the game, although we hope to in the future. So our proposed revenues, as you can see them outlined here, total revenues for this year is $212,196,591, or an increase of about $8.9 million, or 4.39%. And again, we're making a big estimate on that general state aid number, assuming we're going to get the full foundation aid. Sorry, my clicker somehow wants to stay on revenues. Sorry, Jill. I point this out every time. You know, we're very dependent on our tax levy and our general state aid. They are the 2 biggest pieces of the pie. And so we live and die by our tax levy and state aid. Jill, you can advance there if you don't mind. The tax calculation, this is the same calculation you've seen numerous meetings now, showing a 2.9% increase in the levy. That's at the tax cap. It represents about a $55 increase for a $100,000 home before STAR. And you can see this just breaks out by town. And the purpose of this chart really is to show you that regardless of assessments and equalization rates, you know, the tax in each of our 3 towns per $100,000 of full value is the same. On the expenditure side, I think I want to just emphasize that this budget, in order to execute the budget and not reduce or lay anybody off, we really tightened up our budget, whether it be health benefits, retirement costs, fuel and energy costs. We really made sure that we went through those budget line items and really tightened them down, because again, we were faced with a situation which, you know, is a hard situation. If I over budget our energy costs, and then I have to go to the superintendent and say, hey, Dan, we don't have enough money to pay this math teacher or this science teacher or to do this program because I was too conservative in energy, that's pretty serious. So we really worked hard in all of our expenditure items to tighten them down as much as we possibly can, with the effort of preserving programs for students. Here's our proposed expenditures, and it is a balanced budget. Last time you looked at this slide, it showed a deficit. Again, it's $212,196,591, or an increase in spending of about 4.39%. You can see this slide shows the blue and the red sections show we're a people-based business. The most important thing we do is put a teacher in front of students, and that's what we do, and that's what most of our costs are, and that's what most of our costs should be. Jill, so let's talk really quick about transportation. Next slide, if you wouldn't mind. So important, we've talked so much about electric buses, but just to remind everybody that we are not asking the voters or the board to approve and the purchase of any zero-emission buses at this time. We're staying with our tried and true bus replacement program, where we try to keep buses so we don't have too many buses over 10 years old or over 180,000 miles on the bus, because it's just not economical to do that. We get good transportation aid, and once we have really old buses, they're no longer under warranty, and you start to do major engine and transmission work and body work. So we're asking the voters to approve a total of $2,152,000 worth of purchases. That's 10 65-passenger buses, 2 42-passenger buses for students with special needs, and 2 service vans and a flatbed truck for M&O folks. And that's about $2.84 for a $100,000 home before STAR. So this fund balance, I just want to memorialize this moment where we have a 4% fund balance. That's the amount that the state controller's office recommends that we retain. The proposed budget does include the use of about $6,650,000 in fund balance. That's $1 million more than we used last year. And you might be saying, well, wait a minute, you only have $8.5 million for the fund balance and you're proposing to use $6.6 million. So I want to just take a moment to point out that each year when we operate the school, we make, thousands of estimates of what things are going to cost. We had a very warm winter this winter, so our energy costs, believe it or not, were lower than we expected. So at the end of the year, we got to make sure we have enough money to operate the school, and often we end up with extra money that replenishes fund balance. I want to go back to what we've been able to do that. We've been able to replenish fund balance every year for the last several years, so that we haven't had a decline in fund balance, and we've been able to maintain our fund balance at or above this 4% level. But this year, with the budget we've put together, being as aggressive as we were, we're going to have to watch our fund balance closely, because it's not a slam dunk that we're going to be able to come out of this next 24-25 year with enough to reimburse our fund balance and keep it at 4%. So we're just going to have to watch that closely, watch it month to month, and make adjustments, accordingly where we can. Bill? Again, we've done a good job of building our reserves over the last several years, and now it's time to use them. And so we're asking the board to approve, or the board has approved propositions already, and we're asking the voters to approve the use of our capital fund and our ERS fund ERS to support the budget, capital fund to support our capital projects. Jill. So what we're going to do is there'll be a proposition that the board's already approved on the ballot in May that will say to the voters, in plain language, hey, we've experienced a lot of inflation in the projects that they approved in December of 2021. We don't want to ask the voters to give us any more money. We don't want to ask for another tax increase. We'd like to be able to use $3 million of our capital reserve and $1.4 million of our debt service fund to support those projects. And the neat thing about that is that by expanding not expanding the scope of the project, but the overall price tag of the project, because of inflation, we'll get some additional state aid. So we're asking to use money we have, $4.4 million from our debt service, no tax impact to our taxpayers, but we'll be able to increase the overall spending on the project by over $8 million. And next slide. And then, of course, we're so lucky to have the Salina Library on our Roxborough campus. By law, they're allowed to propose their budget on our ballot at the same election. There's a modest increase in the Salina Library, and you can see a letter from the director there asking us to include this amount in our on our ballot. So that's the Salina Library. And so here we are. We're going to ask the board tonight to approve the proposed budget and to, of course, as well, approve the BOCES administrative budget. Next thing we're going to talk about is our budget presentations, and I've got a little slide on that. The budget hearings May 7th, and the budget vote and election is May 21st. So Jill, if you could advance to the next slide. The big takeaway here is the usual. North votes at North is going to vote at Michael J. Bragman Stadium, and that's the new news, the new voting location. Instead of Cicero L, they'll be voting across the street on the CNS campus, and the South 41 will be voting here at the district office. And anybody in the community that has questions about registration can reach out to Jill, and she can walk them through that process. And we will be having a special registration night on May 7th at the stadium, as well as here at the district office. And then this year, one of the things we've really struggled with, we've done as many as 32 or 33 budget presentations, and I have to be honest with you, attendance hasn't been great. And so we feel like maybe we'd be better to concentrate our effort and to do it a little differently. So we're going to do a staff presentation virtually that will allow all of our staff to Google Meet in to a presentation and at their convenience on the 4:30. And obviously, they're welcome at any of the other presentations as well. We'll have 2 in-person community presentations, one at the Gillette Road Middle School Auditorium and one here at the district office. I'm sorry, and one at the North Syracuse Junior High LGI. But then we'll also have the budget hearing here at the district office. So there'll be 3 in-person opportunities for people to hear about the budget. We're going to do a recorded presentation that we'll put on the website, and that'll be on by May 6th. And then we're going to do 2 community virtual presentations, one on May 7th and one on May 14th. And so hopefully we'll get people to attend the sessions and ask us questions or express any concerns that they have. I think that wraps up the presentation. Any questions or concerns?
Any questions?
Yes, so I appreciate that you're showing us a balanced budget. And I know that there's a bit of a change. What exactly, I mean, not all the specifics, but what were the cuts generally that ended up getting us to be balanced this week?
So I think honestly, we were $300,000 off at our last meeting. And so what we did was we went back to a number of line items where I think I was just talking a little bit about just really questioning the methodology of whether it be health benefits, energy or utilities, fuel, some of the bigger items, just really tightening up those calculations. And when you got a $212 million budget to a couple big line items where you squeeze them down a little bit, you can find $300,000. So we didn't make any specific cuts. We just adjusted budget assumptions. And, fingers crossed. I think at the end of the day, some of our budget information is going to be wrong. It always is. But hopefully some are wrong positive and some are wrong negative, and it all balances out. Thank you. Good question. And I'm sorry I didn't.
Yeah, and to follow up with those changing and adjustments, one, most importantly, and I asked this last week, but I assume we're still at like you had said, there's no change to the staffing and then the student programs.
No change to student programs.
Okay,
no.
perfect.
And we're gonna hear about the budget here hopefully within a week from the state. And I think we're gonna have to continue to talk about the budget because we might have to manage it just a little tighter than we have in the past and make some trade-offs. But I don't see any trade-offs that'll impact student programming. We may have to. It sounds crazy, but we may have to tighten up our office supplies or say, hey, don't buy this or don't buy that. Let's delay this purchase. And, we may just have to manage it a little tighter than we have in the past. But that's not a bad thing. So we'll make those adjustments and hopefully there won't, and again, we don't anticipate any impact on student programming.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Questions? I personally want to thank the cabinet leadership of Dan Bowles, Chris Leahy, and Don Keegan, and all the work that you did with all the administrators and staff to come up with this budget. It was not an easy budget because we've had a lot of federal funding, and now we don't have it. You really have made a miracle here. And also that we are not laying off people. If you read in the paper, Jamesville DeWitt is laying off people. And now that the the state budget hasn't been approved, you're going to see other school districts struggling because the deadline is next week, April 23rd. By April 23rd, every school district in New York State must have a budget. And once we vote on this budget tonight, we can't go back. We can't go back. So I'm very disappointed. And personally, the governor, I don't want to blame Assemblyman Al Sturpey, Senator John Mannion, or Pam Hunter. They are phenomenal. They've been in Albany fighting for us since day one. But this should not have happened. This should not have happened for us to be in limbo because of the state budget. So that's just my personal comment. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Oh, well, I would like to personally thank you for all your efforts as you led this effort to present us with a balanced and equitable budget. Thank you.
Welcome.
And now we come to the portion of the meeting where we welcome public comments. I believe we have one speaker signed up, Gloria Minton.
Thank you. Good evening. We are Robert and Gloria Mitten. Robert is the president of the North Syracuse Liverpool Lions Club. Thank you for allowing us to speak this evening regarding the shelter that needs to be built on the new playground at Main Street Early Education Building. Our club donated $10,000 towards the shelter. There were other organizations who donated large sums of money for the shelter also. When all the funds were collected, the shelter was ordered. Concrete posts were delivered in February of 2023. The district maintenance department told Sherry Vertelli the posts would be installed March 22nd, 2023. To date, it has not been done. The structure was delivered April of 2023. Still, no cement posts were installed. Sherry has had emails sent to her with dates of installation, but those dates came and went with no work done. The last date given to her was March 2024. This is April, and it hasn't been done, hasn't been started. Recently, I called Sherry to find out the status. She gave me this news that it is still in the packaging on the property. I did receive a call from the maintenance department, and they said, due to having to remove some fencing and a couple of parking spaces, it is taking longer. But they would start to install May 1st and be completed by June 1st. Since this was supposed to be started over a year ago, how can we trust May 1st and June 1st? The warm weather is going to be here and still no shelter. Please remember, the children in this school need this shelter. due to the fact some have health issues and cannot tolerate the sun and the heat, but they need the fresh air. They are very vulnerable and need special attention. We still have some days left in April if they want to start now. If parents of other schools could only see how diligently the staff at Main Street School perform their duties with their children, you would understand why we are making this plea. So please find it in your hearts to give extra special attention to this project. I thank you so much. My husband does talk. But we both thank you so much, and the club thanks you. We try so very hard to help the village and the district. So please, if you could, please see it in your hearts to do this, we'd appreciate
you. Okay, now it's time for the committee reports. We'll start with policy, which is me. So last week, policy committee met. We went through a bunch of Erie One BOCES policies, and we committed to forming a subcommittee to deal with the ever-evolving student code of conduct. Our next policy committee meeting will be a week from Tuesday, where we will finish off, I believe, the last of the Erie One BOCES policies. So that's it for policy. Move it over to legislative. Bob?
Thank you, Mark. Our next legislative meeting will be May 1st.
Thank you, Bob. Now, if Mr. Bowles has any superintendent comments.
Thank you. As you can see today with the students here for Math League, we are making a lot of headway with math in the district. I'm hopeful that you'll be seeing presentations very similar in ELA as the year ends and next year starts. I want to comment that I went to a BOCES Honor Society for CTE at the SRC Arena this week. We had at least 20 students there. It was exquisite. The students really represented the district well, and it was a wonderful event with the parents and administration and board members. So that was another wonderful representation for North Syracuse. For those of you on Saturday, the entire community came out, as well as staff and administration for the Festival of the Arts. This is one of the premier functions in the district, and I mean, every single parking spot was filled. Parents, students, grandparents, staff were just lining up in the hallways of the junior high. And I do have to just make a special shout out. I was there a little early, and I walked through some of the displays, and some of the artwork that our students do is unreal. And I think I need to commission some of our students and look to purchase some things for my home, because they are that good. So there's gonna be more to follow, because I've asked Lori Cook to follow up with some of the teachers and the students regarding that. And Darrell Redmond, the custodial staff, and everyone that took place, Don Keegan, Chris Leahy, everyone was handing out flyers, and it was a wonderful morning. Last Friday, I had to make a choice. There were two events going on. There was the talent show, but I went to flag football, our girls flag football. Again, we did start some new activities. One was girls wrestling in the winter, but girls flag football took on Beeville this past Friday. They really fought hard, and it's just good to see more students being able to participate in some of our programs that we're having. And my last one, tomorrow, I'll be at the high school for a top 10% breakfast at our high school, where we honor the top 10% within the senior class. So that's kind of a little bit from this past week, and thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Bowles. Moving on to Board of Education comments. Do we have any? Mr. Ludden?
Yeah, I want to say thanks to Don for doing the budget presentations for the past few weeks and balancing it out. And thanks to the administration. I also want to say thanks to the staff because I know that spending freezes in the middle of the year can be tough. And for all the people that had to do that to make sure that we could have this balanced budget, thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Any others?
Last week I got my Eagle News. I opened it up and it says CNS senior named candidate in presidential scholar program. And I go, I know this gentleman. I see him every other week. Thomas, awesome. And you can have a copy of this for your family, your grandmother, or whatever. But we are so proud that you've been part of this board. And I know I've talked to Mr. Bowles now. We need to start. I know we have until June 30th, but I'm hoping we start the application process. I don't know if we're going to get somebody who's participated so much in this school on this board. I had a privilege as OCM BOCES school board member to go to the Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute Syracuse delegation gala. This is my second year that I've gone to it. I have the Spanish copy, but I have to keep the English copy. There are people or students from all over Onondaga County that go to this program. This is a leadership program. They meet 3 or 4 times during the year over at the main campus, and then they go to Albany, Xavier, and they participate in leadership programs there. We do not have a student from North Syracuse on this, but I've been told by both BOCES and Mr. Leahy that we will. We have 200 and more. I know we have some Hispanic students that would be interested in this. This is a free program. It costs the school district nothing. But I, being part of this district, go to these things, and I would like to see some CNS students. Also, these students made the CNY Latino paper. Just a great event. I sat at a table, just to tell you where our country is. I sat at a table with a board member from BOCES, but also to the right was a woman who came from Iran. A woman that grew up in Iran and left her country to come to America to do something, and she works with this group. There also was a lady from Colombia who, again, was born in Colombia, but came to America because of this great land, and they participate in this program. I think we forget about the number of people that come into this country that add to our country. I think we need to think about that every single day. During the regular meeting, you will be voting on the BOCES administrative budget. I made sure Jill sent that to you. It's based on enrollment. So obviously North Syracuse puts more funding into the administration. And you will be voting for 5 candidates. Sent you their biographies. Wayne Bronson has been on for over 35 years. He represents East Syracuse Manoa. Nick Blaney is the new representative for Liverpool. Christine Gregory represents Cortland and Homer. Marissa Mims represents Fayetteville Manlius and Jamesville DeWitt. And then Sean Rayburn represents Fabius Pompey, Lafayette, and Tully. So I ask for you to support the budget tonight when you vote, when Mark brings it up. And I also ask you to support these candidates. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Any other comments? If not, we'll move on to our student ex officio board member comments.
Thank you. I just wanted to start by thanking Mr. Crabtree for all the compliments. And I thought it was funny that you actually brought that up tonight because just yesterday I was notified that I became a semifinalist for programs. So it's the last stage before the winners are selected. So out of the 6,000 of the 4 million students, seniors in the country that are chosen to apply to this, 600 are chosen as semifinalists. So then from here, roughly 170 are chosen for the final awards. So I just thought it was funny that. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I just thought it was funny that you happened to bring it up tonight. But not too much to say today. There's been a lot of fun. Spirit Week this week at CNS. End of year is definitely in sight. You can definitely feel the excitement from students of break coming up. And then, I mean, man, after spring break, it's really just a rush. Everything goes through, especially if you're a senior, all the events lined up. Although I wasn't able to go to the Festival of the Arts, I had plenty of friends that had projects in it and were in it. Saw some pictures of stuff there. Absolutely beautiful work. The students at this school never fail to amaze me. I wasn't able to go to the Festival of the Arts because I was at the NISMO, New York State Math League competition for Team Onondaga. I haven't necessarily checked the record books, but I'm pretty sure we have a record number of students from our district on the Onondaga team this year. So just thought I'd shed light on that. And then lastly, I thought I'd mention a potential idea that I had, kind of a follow-up to the last meeting where the director of world language and English as a new language was talking about the current trends in the department. He had mentioned that there's been a declining, not admittance, retention for French and Spanish, particularly French. And I was talking with some friends and we thought it might be interesting since when a lot of students apply for these languages in sixth grade, some of them are very sure about what they want to do, other ones not quite as much. So if there was a potential to have like a not really sure option, and then the district or the teachers take it upon themselves to choose which language these students go into, that might kind of help balance the two languages in the school and to help prevent the continued decline of French in our district. And yeah, that's all I really have today. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Moving on to routine action items. Like a motion for the consideration for the approval of the minutes of the special meeting of the Board of Education. Motion from Bob, motion from Beth. Okay, if that's before us, all in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. I'd like to group B and C together for the consideration for the classification and school placement of disabled students. Can I get a motion? Motion from Josh, motion from Amanda. All in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. Next four. Can I get a motion to acknowledge? Motion from Xavier and from Beth. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And last, a declaration of marketable and non-marketable surplus. Certainly, Matt.
I mean, going through the marketable, non-marketable surplus stuff, I don't mean to nitpick, but I'm going a little bit. I mean, what determines marketable and non-marketable? I mean, there were over 240 folding chairs that went non-marketable. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you're going to make $1 million in a year over, auctioning off some of this stuff, but I'm just curious what determines the two.
So I think literally, if we can put it on Auctions International, and do it so we don't have to sell one chair at a time, sell it in lots.
Oh, they won't let you do it in lots?
No, if you can do it, if we can sell things, we like that, we will.
Right.
But that's really can we sell it? Can we get anybody interested in it? And we've tried a couple of these before where we've had some items that are, these are pretty old chairs.
Right.
Where we've had older stuff and it just doesn't.
This doesn't go. Okay.
Doesn't go. And that's really the issue. And the one thing we try to do, and what we don't want to do is, someone used to say this to me, we don't want to light $5 bills on fire so we can find nickels on the floor. We
Right,
don't want to
right.
spend an inordinate amount
Right.
of
Don't
money.
want to step over dollars and save pennies. Right. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So,
All right.
so that's kind of the judgment on that. And, but yeah, I'm with you. Like some of the stuff we've parted with, I'm like, oh, can't we use that somewhere? But,
Right.
it's just old stuff.
Okay, it just, yeah, it's just so old, it's not marketable. Got it.
Thank you for that clarification, Don. Okay, does that go through a motion? No, okay. Next up is discussion action items, and we have a recommendation to amend the NSCSD district calendar. Oh. For the marketable and unmarketable, okay. First and second, all in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. Okay, moving on to discussion action items. We have a recommendation to amend the 2023-2024 district calendar. Do I have a motion? Motion from Beth, motion from Matt. All in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. I believe we get an extra day off in May, right? Memorial.
Yes, that amendment is due to contractual obligations. We had more than 2 snow days, at least 2 or more snow days left. So we will be adding the students and staff will be off on the Friday before Memorial Day, which is the 24th of May. That would make a long weekend, but we had a very mild winter, so we did not use all of our snow days.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, item B is the election of the Onondaga, Cortland, Madison, BOCES board members. Motion from Mr. Crabtree, second from Beth. All in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. Next up, we have the approval of the 2024-2025 OCM BOCES administrative budget. I believe this is a roll call vote. Oh, but we didn't do the motions. Motion from Xavier and from Amanda. Yes. And that is carried. Next up, we have the formal adoption of the 2024-2025 North Syracuse Central School District budget. Could I get a motion? Motion from Mr. Ludden, second from Ms. Agru. Also a roll call vote. Yes. And that is carried. Next up, we have an acknowledgement of a gift, a generous donation from the illustrious Bragman family. So I don't believe that requires any kind of motion. No. Next up, a resolution to create a 1.0 full-time employment teaching assistant position at Roxborough Road Elementary School. Do we have any discussion, any questions? No? Can I get a motion? Motion from Xavier and from Matt? Any, well, I already asked any discussion. All in favor? Opposed? And that motion is carried. Oh, okay. Thank you. And a motion from Amanda? Okay. All in favor of acknowledgement of the gift? And opposed? That is carried. And last, we have a resolution to create a modified assistant track coach position. Motion from Josh, second from Amanda. Any discussion? No, all in favor? Opposed? And that's also carried. Okay, moving on to personnel. We have instructional personnel A. Any questions? Can I get a motion then? Motion from Josh and second from Amanda. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have support staff personnel B. Could I get a motion? Motion from Xavier, second from Matt. Any discussion? Oh, okay, all in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. This time, I will make a motion to move the board into executive session for the purpose of discussing reviewing two legal issues with no action to follow. Do I have a second? Amanda? All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Now I need a motion to adjourn. Motion from Josh, second from Xavier. Oh. Thank you. All in favor of adjournment? Opposed? And that is carried, and we are adjourned.